Now our next panel discussion. This is from the other stakeholder, the policymakers. And this will be in a hybrid mode. Some of the panelists will be here physically and some of the panelists will be joining us virtually for this panel discussion on nurturing innovation, ensuring skilling and creating effective skill ecosystem from a state perspective. And we have different policymakers from different states present here today. We will be joined physically by Mr. Amrit Singh, IAS, Director, Employment, Department of Employment Generation, Government Development and Training, Government of Punjab. Can we have Ms. Amrit? Okay. Then we will be joined by Ms. Gandharva Rathore, IAS, Managing Director, Himachal Pradesh, Kaushal, Vikas, Nigam, State Skill Mission of Government of Himachal Pradesh. Can we? And we will be joined online by Nidhi Choudhary, IAS, Director, National Gallery of Modern Arts, Mumbai, Government of India. There we have Nidhi ma'am. We will be joined by Harshika Singh, IAS, Directorate of Skill Development, Government of Madhya Pradesh. We will be joined by VINOD, CEO, Kerala Academy for Skills Excellence, Kerala Skill Development Mission. We will be joined, physically here by Prashasti Rastogi, Senior Director, Coursera for Campus. So we have three of you physically here, and we have Harshika Singh, we have Nidhi Choudhary, and we having VINOD. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with Amrit, and we would want a state perspective in terms of how are you involving all the stakeholders in your state in this overall skilling ecosystem, the academia, the industry, the skill council from a policy level perspective. How are you involving all these constituents? If you can throw some light on that.
So good afternoon, everybody. And at the outset, I would like to thank APAC for inviting me. And we've been knowing each other, and I've attended a few of these conferences before as well. And I find them very informative and relevant. And first of all, to answer your question, I think there are a lot of stakeholders in the game which are present in this room today. So that's the first step. I would also like to tell everybody that I am actually holding the charge of Director Higher Education and Director Employment Generation and Skill Training, and also I'm the MD of the Punjab Skill Mission. So there goes the convergence. I think first of all, the most important thing is I think we need to understand skilling is at the center of all of these things. There is an industry, there is an academia, there are training partners involved, there is learning involved in this process, but the end game is actually to make people employable and get them very fruitfully absorbed in the industry. And like I said, at the center of all of this, belongs this one little aspect which I think a lot of us don't give due importance to. We talk a lot about education, we talk a lot about higher education, technical education, school education. That's what is the key word across India today. But what we're not understanding is that maybe if you see about 2 decades back, anybody who would have a good degree would have a good job. Today, if we see, there are PhDs who are unemployed and they're not getting absorbed into the system. And that basically is reflective of the fact that there's something very fundamentally wrong which is going on in our education and skill and, the industry ecosystem. So, in my opinion, when we are designing courses, when we're thinking about school education to begin with, we need to understand that we've approached the issue in a very, very traditional way in which We are sort of teaching kids in a certain way, which I think we all today agree that it was a very industrial revolution kind of way that things are being designed, and everybody is coming out as a factory output kind of a product. And if there is lacks of the same thing available in the market, then it's difficult to absorb it. So there's, I think there needs to be reform at the school education level first, because it's no longer about traditional jobs. It's about innovation, it's about startups, it's about a lot of other things in today's world, which were not realities maybe 2 decades back, but are realities today. And therefore, like we say, technology needs to quite quickly get updated according to the norms of the industry and requirements of today. I think education also, right down from school to higher, to technical, to medical education, all of it needs to reform to today's realities. And how it would happen is, of course, we need to have people who are designing curriculum talk to people who are in the innovation setup, who are in the startup sort of world today. All industry partners take their demand, which also keeps ever changing. Of course, there'll be certain aspects which will be common and they will carry on forever, but there needs to be a dynamic part in this learning as well. And that is what industry, I think, needs to give us input about.
Okay, so
Yeah, exactly.
primarily what you were saying, the dynamics of change that is happening in the education, and even from a policy level perspective, that pace of the dynamics change has to be matched. Otherwise, if we are from the policy level, things are moving slowly than expected, then there will be that mismatch. And great, that's a great perspective. Gandharva, I'll come to you next. Again, the same question from your state level perspective. How are you incorporating all the stakeholders?
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank APAC and Maharashtra State Skills Society for having us here. In my opinion, the kind of infrastructure or the skilling infrastructure that we need is very state dependent. Now, I come from a very hilly state where the population is not that much, where the literacy levels are high, where aspirations of the students are high, where the kind of mentality that the students have is not to move out of the local communities. They do not want to go outside of, say, Chandigarh. That's the nearest city that we have. Now, the challenge that we have is to create jobs within the same area, within the same locality or communities that they stay in. And the other challenge is, of course, to come up with courses or to see what industries need. Now in Himachal, again, the industrial development is at a very nascent stage. We do not have big industries. We just have a little bit of concentrated industries in an area called Baddi, whereby the kind of skilling that was required or the kind of people that they intake, again, as a state skill mission, we did not have much knowledge about it. So initially when the skilling started, say about 6-7 years back, the kind of courses, as ma'am mentioned, was top down. We were creating courses and we were asking people to join it. And mostly these courses are, since they are free, the value that the students were attaching to these courses were also too little. Now the approach in the states as well as in the government of India, they have changed completely. Now the kind of courses we want are what the industry requires. The idea was there since the beginning, but the kind of initiation that was required from the government side, I believe, was lacking. We were not able to approach industries as much to design courses. Our courses as of now are also quite rigid. The NSFQ courses that we provide are very basic and they're very rigid, and most of the times they're not industry aligned. So in our state, at least, Himachal Pradesh, we say that hospitality sector is one sector where mostly if you'll go anywhere across any hotels in India or abroad, you'll find people from Himachal, because that is one sector where people traditionally from Himachal have worked. Another sector where people are now demanding jobs or where people are looking for jobs is the retail sector, the logistics management. Another area where these people can be trained is again the kind of industries that we have in Himachal, which is pharmacy. And as we'd already seen a presentation whereby Philips Foundation had mentioned that they conduct trainings in CNC machines and all. So in Himachal, we had a ADB project. As in many states, there are projects from different banks under which we provided immense sort of trainings. We've tried all formats. We've had traditional trainings in the ITIs. We've had millions of rupees be spent in upgrading our machineries in the ITIs. We have the latest of machineries in the ITIs. But again, how to operate them, how to use them, and to have that connect with the industry. That we are training the students that you need, but these should be absorbed, or some sort of hand-holding should be there with these students. That is where we are still lacking. So we are actively looking for industries in the sense that we want the jobs from the industries to tell us what sort of training do they need, and to have some sort of contribution in terms of designing the training courses. We are ready to go apart from the NSFU courses also. Some modules can be designed where inputs can be taken from them, that they should tell us what sort of courses they want, and some sort of hand-holding that these students would get certain hours of, say, practical experience as well. So that is the kind of, that is the kind of collaboration that we're looking for, so that they benefit the students in our state. Now, as I said, that every state has different demands. Many people are very aspirational. They would want to move out as well. As somebody in the morning session was mentioning, that Belgium is a great place for employment. Now again, to provide, we are looking for, in fact in Himachal also we are trying to promote that people should go abroad and have these jobs. Now again, the challenges are twofold. It is with regard to the language. When the countries that have demand are very specific, they have very specific language. For example, Japan has a lot of demand for agriculture sort of students and trainees. But again, Japanese is a very, it is a language that cannot be learned very easily. And we need training modules where Japanese can be taught easily to the students and they can learn at their own workspace. Second would be, again, to convince the parents to let the students go. Now, if one person moves out of the village, then naturally the word spreads. But to take that one person out and to convince that one person to go abroad, it's very difficult. So, again, the last thing I would want to mention is that we were here actually for a different sort of a meeting. We were collaborating with Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited with regard to providing training courses at the pace that the student wants to learn, at the convenience of the student. Because again, we cannot have a very rigid approach as to the learning has to be within 10 to 5 and it has to be from a certain place. So that sort of flexible structures are what we are looking for in the future, where the student can decide what they want to learn. And again, it has to be a contributory approach. Everything cannot be free. If it is free, then the value naturally decreases. We can design structures whereby a certain amount of fee is taken from the student. So those sort of models are where we are exploring. And again, the jobs, as I said, that mostly in India, wherever you will go, I visited a few states, say Odisha or West Bengal, or places like places in the south have opportunities, but places that do not have opportunities, students are not very willing to move out. So to create jobs at their own places, to create those freelance jobs online, to connect them to such jobs, that is where now we have to step in, we have to be a facilitator. So, as I mentioned, that Himachal is a completely different sort of a state, and the aspirations are also completely different. They would not be happy with the 10,000 rupee job. Even with skill or no skill, the starting has to be, say, with somewhat 15 to 20,000. Then again, as I mentioned, local considerations are there. It has to be a job nearby. Then, with a student like that, what sort of courses can we design? What are the challenges that we have? Of course, we have to employ them. Otherwise, in Himachal, the trend is they would be happy. People have apple. We do have apple farms, and we do have agriculture, a little bit agriculture everybody has. So to move out of a land which has the perfect weather, and to move out of the land which doesn't have scarcity of any sort, and to convince them, then definitely we have to upskill them in areas where they feel respected. The job that they want to enter has to be it has to be something that the society should respect. Then they have to be convinced that they are comfortably placed. So these are the challenges which are very state specific. So in Himachal, if you're able to meet the expectation of the industries and create local jobs, create jobs in areas where students are willing to go, I think that would be a great achievement for us as policymakers. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. So, one very critical thing you mentioned was the geographical characteristics of a place will determine the type of jobs and the type of skill sets required for those kind of specific jobs. Great. Prashasti, I'll come to you later first from the state perspective. Harshika, I'll come to you uh, next from the Madhya Pradesh perspective on involving all the stakeholders in the education ecosystem. How are you doing it?
Thank you so much, APAC and the State Skilling Society Maharashtra for giving an opportunity to the state of Madhya Pradesh to put up their viewpoint with respect to the skilling ecosphere. As for my previous two speakers, they have already spoken about the fact that there are multiple stakeholders which play an important role when we talk about skilling per se. I would here like to talk specifically about two things, which is academia and industry, and what we have tried to do in the state of Madhya Pradesh. As for academia, like everyone mentioned, we are aiming to make skilling a part of the education syllabus itself, right from the schooling side. So, right from the vocational training at the school level to higher education. Skilling, we are playing an important role in the syllabus formulation and kind of giving a base or a benchmark for the skilling process. Here, I would also like to mention that in the state of Madhya Pradesh, we have started something called ITI on Wheels. The idea is that we are trying to demonstrate the ITIs and not just ITIs, but the skilling ecosphere to the general masses and create a curiosity amongst the young minds of the state. That's something which we are vociferously taking up in all the rural heartlands of the state of Madhya Pradesh. We are also into a lot of these, MOUs with lot of educational institution. For example, IT Delhi, IT Jodhpur. We are running the new age courses in our higher education institution that is again being steered by the skill development department. The idea is to give a base and a framework to the academia side and make them relevant and make them equipped, or I would say in the context of skilling, I'm sure all of us who are part of this panel would agree that, the idea right now is to make everyone skilled and not just restrict things to ITI or say for that matter, polytechnic or engineering colleges. So we are aiming to make skill as a part of a right to skilling framework in the context of Madhya Pradesh. And that is why we are trying to kind of, work right from the children in the schools to higher education institution, having elaborate coordination with multiple other departments, say, for example, rural development, urban development. We are trying to be a nodal for the skilling ecosphere of the state. That's something which we are doing right now. As for the industries, there have been certain very active interface between us and the industries in the state of Madhya Pradesh. For example, this year we have established 3 green ITIs. The idea is that these ITIs would specialize in the green skilling, and this entire green skilling interface has been in the form of DST with the MOUs of the industries which are specializing in the green jobs. So, for example, we have Suzlon. We have, in fact, world's biggest solar power plant in the state of Madhya Pradesh. We are kind of taking up training and providing skilled manpower as a captive unit, and that's something which we are doing with the industries here. Also, we have, for example, we have Northern Coalfields, we have the Bina refinery. They have helped to take up the ITIs of the region in a cluster mode and helping us with developing the skilled workforce for those particular clusters, for those particular regions as well. Here, I would also like to talk a bit about active interface between the government of Madhya Pradesh skill development and the industry through our own version of the apprenticeship scheme. We have one of its kind apprenticeship scheme in the country, in the entire country, which is Mukhyamantri Sikho Kamao Yojana. It is a state version of the NAPS or the National Apprenticeship Act, and we have actively engaged with the industries all across the country. Our children are not just serving as apprentices in the state of Madhya Pradesh, but in the all across different states. In fact, Maharashtra-based industries are an important, they're playing a very important role for us. Also, something here that I would like to talk about is right now what we are trying to do is that we are trying to develop a unified, we already have something called a Samagra platform where every individual of the state has an ID. With that ID, we are trying to do a mapping of the skilling of every individual of the state. And that skill mapping is helping us to kind of plan and provide a remote skilling base for everyone in the state. It's like a right to skilling. And with that skill data, we would be providing that data to our industry partners for a proper matching. Here, I would also like to mention that the state of MP is taking skilling not just for employment opportunities, but skilling also for the self-employment opportunities. And that's where we are aggressively following up with remote skilling platforms where anyone in any part of the state can take up those skilling courses duly certified by the state of Madhya Pradesh, become skilled and have an interface with the banking infrastructure and also, get pushed into the realm of self-employment. So that's also something which we are exploring. And apart from the ITIs and the industry linkage, we kind of work on it. Also here, I would like to mention that what we have done in the state of Madhya Pradesh, that we have tried to kind of coordinate between the industry and the skills. So there is an industry plan for next 5 years. As per that industry plan, we have got in touch with the industries and their skilling needs is duly planned in an exhaustive manner with the coordination of the department so that a captive skilling could be done for those industries, and it is a win-win situation both for the industry as well as for us. So that's also something which we are working on right now. Having said that, apart from this, there are a lot of other stakeholders who play a very important role. For example, before me, the speaker was talking about Himachal Pradesh. For Madhya Pradesh, I would like to tell you it is the state which has the highest tribal population in mainland India. And here we are also working on something like, tribal skilling. We have recently got a program designed by DGT for our state, specifically with respect to the tribal arts, with respect to heritage skilling, because we have a market for it. There is a small scale industry which is there, but the skilling component of it and also the I would say the preservation of those things was a challenge here. So that's also where we have got in intensive engagement with these sectors. Another thing that we have taken up is that recently Honorable Prime Minister had given a theme of one district, one product. And under that, every district of Madhya Pradesh has worked. Now this year, we have taken up one district, one product, one skill. So what we have tried to do is that as per the inputs available, as per the the environment which is conducive for every for whatever sort of industry in that particular district, we have taken up those skilling courses in those districts as well, so that we also kind of push up the industry base apart from the general work that we are doing under ODOP. So that's also something which we are aiming. The ultimate objective is that we meet the need of the industry. We take the academia along, make skilling inclusive, exhaustive, and accessible to all and everyone in the state of MP.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for that comprehensive talk about how Madhya Pradesh is doing. Nidhi, ma'am, I'll come to you next from the Maharashtra perspective, and we are having this event in Maharashtra itself. How are you involving the different stakeholders?
Sorry, there was some interruption, so I could not hear your question, but I believe it is on the same which has been asked to all the panelists, which is about the collaboration that is possible with academia, industries, and even the civil society plus government into the skill development sector. So at the outset, let me thank Maharashtra State Skill Development Society, for which I was holding the charge as CEO until last week. And I was supposed to be a host and welcome you all in the conclave. But fortunately, unfortunately, any which way, I have joined Government of India under Ministry of Culture last week, and I'm not personally present. I am sorry for that. But I welcome you all in the beautiful city of Pune, and Amrit, Gandharva, who have come from other states, and other participants who have come from other states. Please do take time out and please do visit the heritage sites that we have in Pune. Shaniwar Vada is there. Go to Bhima Shankar if time permits. With that apart, personally, I would have spoken about the schemes that Government of Maharashtra launched over a period of time, which ensured collaboration with industry, which ensured collaboration with academia, with civil society. So, taking hints from what Harshika has said, what Amrit and Gandharva have also mentioned, how to ensure that the industry is into the course design industry is implementing these skill development initiatives of the government. So first thing that we did was we launched Gramin Kaushalya Vikas Kendra. For that, the expression of interest was floated, and industries, civil society participants were also encouraged to set up skill development centers in the villages of Maharashtra. And thankfully, thanks to the good response that we got from good participants, institutions, we were able to set up more than 500 such centers across the villages of Maharashtra. And these very centers also helped us in rolling out of PM Vishwakarma scheme, because under the National Skill Development Corporation, we became the partner for rolling out of PM Vishwakarma scheme. After this scheme became successful, we also realized that there is a possibility of a greater collaboration with academia, and we launched another scheme, which is Acharya Chanakya Kaushalya Vikas Kendra. These centers have been set up in colleges, like mentioned by earlier participants also. In academia, like in colleges, in polytechnic colleges, engineering, medical, or even in humanities colleges, there is always some sort of setup, some sort of lab which is available for skill development. But these were not structured, these were not doing it in the more formal way which was expected. So we decided to onboard more than 1,000 colleges were onboarded in last few months as skill development centers. Now these colleges are not only the skill development center for the students of the institution, but also are acting as hubs for the neighborhood. And this is going to help in ensuring the NEP compliance that is expected by every school. And as Harshika was mentioning that it is going to start from much earlier, and even Gandharv said that it is needed at a very early stage. And NEP expects it to be done at 6th standard onwards. So for this, these college-based skill development centers are going to be great help. Other than that, we started sanitation and hospitality centric skills. Like Harshika mentioned, one district, one product, and one skill. So we, being one of the most highly industrialized and most urban state of the country, we found that in sanitation sector, hospitality sector, there is a sector skill council, but the need, the demand that is coming from the market was much more than what was being supplied. So the state of Maharashtra has set up 6 Sant Gadgi Baba Swachh Bharat Skill Academy, which is focused on providing sanitation sector skills to the youth. And these people, these academies have been set up after floating an expression of interest and inviting bids from the people from the industries which are into the sector. So we have NIC, we have BVG, we have Sumit facility, which have set up these skill development, sanitation centered skill development academy. So the problem that we had, that NSQF compliance compliant courses also sometimes may become rigid, or the linkage with employability. So in order to address that, these 6 regional level Sant Gadgi Baba Swachh Bharat academies are being run and implemented and executed by the industries themselves, who are the leaders in the sanitation and hospitality sector. Other than that, like Gandharva was mentioning about the socio-cultural issues that are there in movement of the skilled workforce from out of state. So when we also set up the International Skill Academy in ITI Vidya Vihar, we have had long discussions about the Maharashtrians not being too migration friendly. Gandharv, let me tell you that this is probably the fact across the country, except for some parts in mainland India, about which we assume and we have a belief that people from UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, Gujarat would be easy to migrate away for seeking jobs which pay more. And vis-a-vis people from Maharashtra, like I had this belief that people from Maharashtra would not want to move out of their villages, their towns, their cities. And this is also a fact. I'm not denying that this is not a fact, but we need to overcome it, considering that there is a great opportunity lying across the countries, like Belgium, you mentioned, Japan, somebody mentioned, Germany, there are huge requirements, and the state of Maharashtra has entered into an MOU, even at the state level within the country of Germany. So we have MOUs with Stuttgart, we have MOUs with Baden-Württemberg, we have MOUs with even city level. So those things are not necessarily by skill development society alone. There are some MOUs by tourism department, some by education department. In each of them, there is a demand which is being raised by these counterparts for skilled workforce. I'm only happy to share that we started the International Skill Academy in September 2023. And this was the launch. This was just the announcement, and we could start it in March 2024. We have started the language training courses for German and Japanese. We have entered into MOUs with international recruiting agencies which are licensed by the Ministry of External Affairs. Although it is a short duration, but we have been able to send 83 skilled people from ITIs to Germany, 3 for Japan, some 60 for Saudi Arabia. Currently, we were working on, like, I'm sure that project will definitely kick off, working on sending a workforce to an extent of 10,000 skilled workforce in construction sector to Israel, and also to Austria from nursing sector. So while there are challenges, socio-cultural issues will always remain there. But even these small steps, the numbers may appear small, but as has been found that once there is a batch of 10, 20, which reaches the other country and finds that the facilities are better, the income is many-fold. Like in Germany, for a mason, he's getting 1.25 lakh. Israel, it is 1.5 lakh per month, which is definitely much better than what youth skilled manpower get in our country. And because there are opportunities abroad, we must try to tap the opportunities. I absolutely agree with what Gandharv said, that about free lunch, that when the schemes or the skill development programs are provided free of charge, there is no skin in the game. And because of them, even the quality of training and sometimes the quality of intake also gets deteriorated. So to address this, all the skill development courses in the International Skill Academy, even in the Sant Gadgi Baba Swachh Bharat Academy, the student has to first pay the fees. For international language learning courses, the applicant has to pay the fees. Once the assessment is done and the applicant has passed and cleared the exam with the quality that is expected for these trades, then only the fees will be reimbursed. So it is, although free, but it is not absolutely free. First, there is a skin in the game. So that is what we tried to start. Harshika mentioned about the skill on wheel, ITI on wheel. We have also launched a similar scheme, skill on wheel, in the city of Mumbai for the children, for the students, children who are in slum areas, and to provide it nearest to their location. About ITI and industry collaboration, I'm really, really happy and proud to say that Maharashtra can boast of having, because we have a lot of industry and there is a good industrial presence in many of our districts. A lot of our ITIs have very close collaboration with industries. We have strong and closely collaborated association with the Bosch India, Siemens, Schneider, Mahanagar Gas Limited, with Mahindra and a lot more other industrial groups. So industry collaboration is good, is strong, but it definitely can, if it is not there in Amravati division, which is tribal dominated division in our state, we need to probably reach out to the industry in those areas. And in order to address that, recently we floated RFB in which we are going to pay to industry for setting up advanced industry 4.0 labs in our ITIs. Harshita mentioned about IIT association with ITIs. This was one thing that I was discussing with my team, and I really, really wanted to take it forward, wherein IIT to ITI, this collaboration is something that I believe that most of the states can definitely work on. We have IIT Mumbai here, we have IIM Bombay also, IIM Nagpur. All of them certainly can be the mentoring organizations for our ITIs, for our polytechnics, and this is something which we should work upon. While there is a lot that has been done, and there is a lot that is yet to be done, we still like we fare in the international Olympics the same way our performance in international world skill competition is not up to mark, be it Maharashtra, be it any other state. There is so much more that needs to be done. Harshika mentioned about arts, so I would really want to be associated in case as NGMA director, we can do something collaboratively on promotion of tribal arts. I would be really, really happy to do it. And same goes for if something can be done for Punjab or Himachal Pradesh. My best wishes to all the participants. And once again, I'm sorry for not being personally present and not being able to welcome you all. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks. Vinod TV, our next speaker. If you can give a perspective on Kerala.
Also not able to join personally, you people there, following some of the engagements here, and I think the invitation also have came a little bit late. However, I know before talking, on the state-specific intervention for incorporating academia into and industry into our mainstream skilling activities, I would like to, mention about a couple of challenges that probably every state would be, facing. One, and I think it is one of the biggest challenge which every state would be facing, is the dearth for professionals in skill development. As we all know, skill development with the dynamism of the industries or the technological advancement and all, skill development is a technical area which requires lots of insights, experience. One has to envisage programs based on the dynamism of the industry, of the ground realities, etc. And one of the reason why many of the program schemes and provisions that are being offered by the skill development missions or the MSDE or the state skill development in departments, etc., would be actually the problem of actually the dearth for qualified professionals or skilled, experienced professionals who can read the nuances connected with the skill development, and then to do the adjustments at the implementational level, policy level interventions, and the challenges at the implementation level are there are huge gap in fact. So once a policy is being made, people need to be there who can really interpret and implement these programs effectively. That is in one of the challenge I believe every state is facing. And I would like to draw the attention of the panelists and others who listen to this. Is another big problem is which is the dearth for qualified skill trainers. I can talk very specifically about the state. Although we are a state with huge people with high aspirations, because the socio-economic progress of the state is comparatively a little higher, and the higher education enrollment is also at a higher level. Naturally, the aspiration of the people are also at higher levels. But considering the requirements of the industry or the lucrative industries or emerging industries, or you can probably say the high demand areas, we may not always be able to provide such skill training in Kerala, or face challenges while we try to attempt to give such training accessible for people within the state. Primarily because of the dearth for qualified skill trainers. There are many reasons, including nobody is or otherwise people are not paid well at the as a trainer. We are in the state of Kerala. We are trying to address both these problems, and probably because of the depth of these programs, even though we have many very good training service providers and who are doing industry relevant programs in their states, many of them, when we try to invite them to the state, might not be able to take up the responsibility following, because of the dearth for qualified skill trainers. It doesn't mean that we do not have qualified people, but people doesn't find skill training as a as a gainful career opportunity. So that is another challenge. Back to the question, specific question about how we do it, include the different stakeholders, including industry and academia, into our mainstream skilling activities. At policy level, we look at the skill training with two kind of specific interventions. One is called a preventive intervention, and the other one is a curative intervention. Preventive intervention, which means we try to bridge the skill gap among the students while they pursue their conventional education. That means we want to prevent people getting unemployed once they complete their graduation or post graduation or whatever degree or professional qualification they may acquire. For this, we have different interventions. We have, from the school levels, we have skill development centers established in different schools which are operating in hub and spoke model.
Come to you, Prashasti. You heard all the states' perspective from an industry point of view. How can you cooperate with the states in this aspect?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to bring us all together in this room. Congratulations to APAC and Maharashtra Skill Development to get a right mix of skill perspective and educationists in the room. In the morning, since morning, I've been listening very intently to what Dr. Jere from AICT perspective talked about, what educationists like Dr. Ranjan is sitting here, he spoke about, and what the policy makers on this panel have been talking about. There are three things that I've heard very frequently mentioned by everybody. One is education is the vehicle to transfer skills. Education and skill are not two different components. Education degrees are not royalty for life. Reskilling is much more imperative now than it was before. Lifelong skilling means you have to reskill yourself or upskill yourself every 12 to 24 months if you want to stay relevant. The second thing that I heard very categorically coming from everybody, we are not only looking for job seekers, we are actually building a job creator economy. And that job creator economy will only come if we follow the mission of the country to get ahead in technological development, then follows the lead of the Western world. Prime Minister Modi talks about India being the AI talent superpower of the world. Dr. Jere also mentioned about human-computer interaction and development of those skills in that direction. Coursera's co-founder, Dr. Andrew Ng, a professor at Stanford University, in 2016 said AI is the new electricity. You may not know it, but you will end up using it. Pradhan Mantri Modi says the only way India can get ahead in getting to a $10 trillion economy is using AI as the vehicle to develop X-shaped individuals in the country. Earlier, we used to talk about I-shaped skills. We used to talk about T-shaped skills. That's all gone. 18 months ago, generative AI came into our lives, and I and T are disposed of. We are talking about X-shaped skills. X-shaped skills means generalist specialists with leadership qualities and ability to work internationally. The third point that I am observing here is also about how can we, Harshika ji talked about how to develop local impact, and Nidhi ji talked about IIT to ITIs. She also talked about skilling on mobile. We heard a lot of examples of skilling on wheels, right? Sorry, skilling on wheels. Coursera says skilling on mobile, because we have to reach every nook and corner of this country and enable the nation in such a way that everybody can create a livelihood for themselves. There are 2.4 crore learners in India using the Coursera platform, and 34% of them are using via mobile. And the most in-demand courses are artificial intelligence-linked courses. I'll give you an example of how IITs to ITIs is happening. In the state of Orissa, we work with both Ministry of Higher Education and Ministry of Skill and Technical Education. And we are training about 1 lakh students from different parts of education sector. It could be ITIs, polytechnics, it could be universities, technical universities, engineering colleges. And they are learning from the best of the institutions of the world. Coursera has about 325 industry and university partners, including the IITs in India and IIMs in India. And they're all developing these students who have access just to mobile. And the beauty of it is 30% of the students learning are women.
Okay, the skilling on mobile part. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So,
I just have one more point to make.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to work across governments, corporates, and institutions by virtue of, the role that I play at Coursera. I have observed generative AI as a keyword is missing in the dialogue of skill and education, but it is the only topic that industry is discussing right now. So if you're talking about industry-academia linkage, I think generative AI literacy is one thing that we need to bring to everybody.
Okay. It's like electricity, as you mentioned.
Yeah, and Minister of IT said, India's AI skilling demand is 100 crore individuals.
Okay.
I would love to play a small part in that.
Great.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So I'll just conclude with 30 seconds to each policymaker's most important component in your roadmap, immediate next future from your state perspective, starting with you.
So top few MOUs of our universities and colleges with universities abroad. That of course is one. Skilling embedded courses in the higher education, technical education, medical education setup. That would be another. And skilling only and only with the view of what is required by industry. On a side note, I would also like to mention that whenever we do speak to industry, they give us a demand, but when it is actually time for them to absorb this workforce, they don't do it according to responsible industry standards. They don't hire these people at minimum wages, which they are supposed to. So that I would like to urge industry to do.
Yes, that's a very important point that you. Thanks for mentioning that, ma'am. Gandharva.
We had a very informative session, and I would like to thank everyone for giving their inputs. Again, I would like to reiterate the point as generative AI, ma'am has mentioned that nobody is talking about it. We are talking about it, but since, like most of us, we have not been able to understand as to how to approach it. Now, we would expect again the industry to tell us, since the industries are the ones from where the demand would come as to what sort of people do they need. So again, we would need the help of industry to tell us as to what sort of training program should we create. Everybody is experimenting. We are also experimenting as to how we should teach our students about the AI, about ML. And since we ourselves are also just getting used to chat GPT, about how to use it, how to go about, how much should we use it, how much should we rely on it, and how to use it responsibly. So similarly, other AI tools which are also available in the market, we do understand the importance of teaching the students. And if, same as you mentioned, the industry is talking about it, even the governments are, in the government also people are talking about it. But we haven't been able to reach to a point as to approach this problem, or to approach this new sort of revolution. Okay. So again, we would like that, we are given some sort of inputs into that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Harshika ma'am, 30 seconds. The future roadmap from Madhya Pradesh perspective. She's on mute.
This year, it talks about 4.4% of organized workforce getting organized skilling and 16.6% getting unorganized skilling. So that's what we are also aiming at, that everyone should have a proper skilling platform in the organized form. That's what we are aiming at. The other thing that I would, which we are looking forward is to kind of seamlessly merge the industrial policy and the skill policy of the state, so that there are no contours left, which kind of creates some aberrations between the two. And the third important thing that we are aiming at right now in the state of MP, where we are lacking behind, is in having a very robust incubation. That's something which we are looking at, that in consonance with the remote skilling policy that we are coming up with. Thank you.
So for Maharashtra, top three priorities. One is promoting international mobility of our skilled workforce. That is the reason we were in the process of setting up 6 Maharashtra International Centers. One has already become operational. For the other 5, the tenders are in place, and I'm sure they would also come up soon. The second, as Prashasti was mentioning about AI, it's not that there is no talk. As Gandharva said, there are issues about it, how to approach it. But fortunately, in our international skill academies, we are going to set up IoT and AI platform-related training courses also, which will be, obviously, being a government entity, we have to be following a certain curriculum which is being supported by NSTC. So those courses we have already floated the RFP for the same. And the third is the ITI upgradation. As I mentioned earlier also, we have a strong industrial linkage. But over a period of time, unfortunately, when the focus shifted towards the short-term skill development courses, unfortunately, the ITIs, which were providing long-term sustained skill courses, got ignored. So under the World Bank funded Daksh project, we are going to turn all the district level ITIs and all the women ITIs in the state of Maharashtra into the model international standard ITIs. So that will remain the focus of the state of Maharashtra. Until last week, these were the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Prashasti, your 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Last
I'll try
speaker.
to be 20 seconds because I want to make the quickest segue to lunch. So I think in Rigveda it said, Ano Bhadra Kritvo Yantu Vishvataha. Let all noble things come to us from every side. Let the best of knowledge flow into us. Cal Newport, who's an American author and behavioral scientist, says the people who will succeed and survive in Industry 5.0 are the ones who can deeply engage with technology and create success for themselves. So I think AI is a huge enabler for education and skill, and let's embrace it, and let's build the future of this nation together. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks. I'd like to thank both Nidhi ma'am and Harshika ma'am for joining us virtually. Thank you. Thank you, Harshika ma'am. And for both, Amrit had to leave, her flight was there, Gandharva and Prashasti would like to thank you. And one small token of appreciation. For Gandharva Rathore, IAS Managing Director, Himachal Pradesh, Kaushal, Vikas, Nigam. And for Prashasti, Rastogi, Senior Director, Coursera for Campus. For Nidhi ma'am's memento, can I call Mr. Anil Sonawane? Is he around? He's not there, so we will send it forward. And thanks, Nidhi ma'am. Thanks, Harshika ma'am. Thank you.